Greetings to all C3RF members and friends across Canada and indeed around the world, and a special welcome to the folks at Veterans for Freedom as they view this C3RF in-hot interview on their dedicated streaming channels. We're very fortunate today to have with us, in the midst of the 2025 election cycle campaign, none other than Max Bernier, leader of the People's Party of Canada. This is the one man and the one party that dares to distinguish itself and its platform with a traditional common sense worldview. A worldview that places Canadian national interest over and above those passed down by globalist agencies and sees individual sovereignty as the building block that all of our rights and freedoms are based upon. For these so-called controversial viewpoints, he has been pilloried and shunned by the Canadian political establishment and even disallowed from participating in election debates, even though his party met the 5% threshold to do so in the last federal election. And that leads us to our first question, Max. How in the heck's name could they deny you a seat at the debate table?
You know, they're afraid of our ideas. They don't want us to have a debate and a real discussion. They know that if I'm participating in these national debates, we will be able to speak to Canadians and have more support. They don't want that. And, don't forget, because the people who are in charge of the Leaders Debate Commission are, at their board, former Conservative MPs. They are sitting at the board at that commission. So for sure, they don't want us. And at every election, they try to change the rule because, like you said in the beginning, last year they said, Bernier, for the next election, you will need to have 4% of the vote to be able to participate in the national debates at the next election, this one in 2025. And that we had 5% of the vote. So that was supposed to give us the ticket to participate in these national debates. But they created a new rule, and now they're doing everything to exclude us. And that's undemocratic, that's unfair. They created that commission only to exclude the People's Party of Canada. And that's why I'm doing my campaign on social media with you, with other podcasters all across the country. That's the only way that I can reach Canadians, and I'm doing that. And I want to thank you for giving me that opportunity.
Well, I think it's only just that we see all the viewpoints from all the federal parties come out and be exposed and be subjected to competition. I'm quite honored, as a matter of fact, to have you with us because I noticed that you're doing a bit of an end run here. I see you popping up on American podcasts like Patrick Bet David. That's a very, very large one. I see you up on Info Wars. That's worldwide. That's and very, very, very controversial with its host. Are there others that you plan on attending?
I don't know. My team is in charge of that. As you know, during the electoral campaign, I'm very busy, and that's why I'm doing that interview with you in my car. I was at an event with 100 supporters here in Quebec City. I
Yeah.
delivered a speech to them, and after that, I said, okay, I have to go. I have a podcast to go. And after that, tonight, I'm going at another location in Quebec to meet our candidates and our supporters. So during an electoral campaign, my team is in charge of my agenda. So if you're asking me what I'm doing in a week, I don't know. I know that I will be on the road. I know that I'll be in Quebec, the province of Quebec, today and tomorrow. And after that, I'm flying for Eastern Canada. But I like it. I'm meeting a lot of people. And in between these meetings and rallies, I'm doing podcasts, and I'm pleased to have that time for you tonight.
Yeah, that's great. I guess when we talk about your schedule, I took a look at it the other day. I just didn't believe what you were doing. You're just all over the country all of the time. It's very, very, very energetic. But I'd like to ask you, on the issue side of things, we just had President Trump come out today, and he's announced 25% tariffs on automobiles. And I noticed that your approach to the Trump regime administration is a lot different from the other candidates for prime ministership, they seem to be all about elbows up and beating the war drum. And I'm looking at this. I'm thinking, from my perspective, as a former combat fighter pilot, you don't roll into to a dogfight when you know that you're outnumbered 10-1. You try to come up with a different plan, a different scenario that would maybe give you the edge over such numerous odds. What is your approach to this to President Trump and where he's going with his new economic reforms?
Yes, you're right about that. We cannot win a trade war against the US. They are 10 times bigger than us.
Yeah.
That's the reality. So what is happening right now? The Trudeau government and the Polyev, also the conservative, are saying, we want to impose dollar for dollars tariffs on the, American import. But the question is, who's paying these tariffs? It
Mm.
is us, Canadian consumers. When Trump decided to impose tariff 25%, that was against American imports coming from Canada. So that is the American consumers and American businesses who are paying this tariff. So why the federal government and the conservative are okay by taxing us a little bit more with another 25% tax? That's the reality. And actually, they're telling us we need to do that. We love you. We need to protect the sovereignty of our country. And we love you so much, Canadians, that we will tax you another 25%. That's crazy. That's crazy. So our proposal is, don't do anything on tariffs. I don't want to tax Canadians more. I want them to pay lower taxes. So do nothing because we won't win that trade war. And at the same time, what President Trump wants is a new deal with Canada, Mexico, and the US. That deal is supposed to be reopened only in 2026. We
Yeah.
need to tell President Trump, okay, let's go. You don't like the trade that we have right now with you. You don't like the fact that we are imposing 300% on your dairy products to Canada. I can understand that. Let's have a real opening of the free trade agreement right now together, and we will put everything on the table. We need to put the cartel of supply management. We need to put the automobile industry, and we'll be able to have a deal. And the good news is President Trump said a couple of days ago, if Canada is imposing 25% tariffs, I will impose 25% tariff. But
Yes.
if Canada is not imposing any tariff on the products coming from the US, I won't impose any tariff also. That must be reciprocal. And so we must take him and doing that reciprocal agreement, no more tariff in Canada against the US, and they won't impose any tariffs on us. That would be a real free trade. Let's do it. It would be good for both economies. It would be good for Canadians. It would be good for, Canadian consumers. That's the reality. That's the economy 101. But Polyev and Carney don't understand that. They are taxing us. And I think that it's very crazy to do that. So our
I saw
position is
that.
different. It's based on a real common sense.
I saw that door opening myself when Trump started talking about reciprocal arrangements with other countries, and I've seen his trade representative Bob Lighthizer talk about reestablishing a balance with all other nations around the world, trade-wise, to have this reciprocity put in place. So what they seem to want to do down there is they want to get away from just having their market being wide open to the world because they're losing manufacturing capability. They want to close it down a bit. They want to provide fertile grounds for their manufacturing to start up, to kick in again, and it looks like it's going to kick in big time with these tariffs. And with that door open, I can't see why Canada couldn't take advantage of that. Like you say, this might be a golden opportunity for Canada.
Yes, I understand President Trump. What he's doing He's putting his country first, American first. And as the leader of the People's Party, I'm doing the same thing here in Canada. I'm
Yeah.
putting Canadian first and our economy and our country first. That being said, the fact that President Trump is imposing tariffs, what he's saying to American businesses, hey, boys, come back to the US. You know, that delocalization was not good for our economy. If you want to sell to your US customers, you must be here, you won't pay any tariff. So he's putting the, like you said, he wants to bring back the manufacturing sector in the US. But he cannot impose this tariff for too long because also at the same time, he did fight during the electoral campaign, the presidential campaign, and said to Americans, I will stop the inflation. So when he's doing that, prices is going up. So for him, he is just sending a signal to American businesses to come back home in the U.S. and produce in the U.S. And
Mhm.
he cannot impose this tariff for too long. First, second, to solve the problem of the delocalization, it's because the U.S. dollar is too strong. The U.S. Are exporting their manufacturing sector because of the US dollar. They are not competitive in US. The US dollar is too strong. So that's why you had that delocalization for the last 50 years. The real solution of that is to be sure that the US won't be so strong. And like that, import coming from the US won't be too expensive for other countries. He
Hmm.
must do that, and he will because you'll have maybe in the US a monetary reset with a new, international monetary currency that will be used. Now it's the US dollar. The US dollar is strong because central banks around the world are buying US bonds and US dollars in their reserve. And at the same time, the US dollar is the world's international currency for trade. So they need to have dollars for that. That is putting pressure on the US dollars, and that's why the US dollar is strong. So you need to have an alternative. And actually, these alternatives are coming because there's the BRICS country, and they are starting a de-dollarization. They don't want to have so much American dollars. So that's a good news. The value of the dollar will go down, but that may be a bad news for the Americans on the short term. Maybe they will have more inflation. But Trump is aware of all that, and he tried to manage to be sure that in a couple of months the U.S. economy will be better. They will have more manufacturing jobs in the U.S. and the U.S. dollar won't be so strong. So that will help export coming from the U.S. out to other countries.
Yeah. Now you mentioned the fact that Trump, of course, is America first, but the PPC and you are most definitely Canada first. And I got a feeling that that kind of is what gets you in hot water in the domestic scene because uh, basically around the horn in Canada, there's a love in for all things global, and we've seen over the last 10 years with Justin Trudeau and his approach to globalism and the way he was spending money abroad like a drunken sailor. That this whole idea of globalism and taking our leads from places like the WEF and the World Health Organization are where Canada right now feels more comfortable. How are you going to address that? I think the Canada First message is extremely important. How are you going to get that across to Canada as you go through your campaign?
You're right about that. We are putting Canada first. All these, you know, uh, are international organizations that are, influencing Canadian politics. We will withdraw from that. We will withdraw from the Paris Accord. We don't need that. There's no climate emergency. We will withdraw from the World Health Organization. We don't
Well,
need them. We will withdraw from the Paris Accord. I said it. We will withdraw also from the UN Global Compact on Migration. So that's the way to put Canadian first. And the other way is to cut foreign aid. Bring that money home, like Polyev is saying. But we are serious about that. We are saying we will cut $8 billion, bring back here in Canada to help Canadians. That's the way to put our country first. And the war in Ukraine, Polyev and the liberals, wanted, wanted to give more money to Ukraine, and they still want. We lost $20 billion. We gave that to a corrupt democracy over there.
Yeah.
We must not be in war in Ukraine. Russia is not our enemy. It's our own government with what they did to us during the COVID hysteria by the taxes that they're imposing to us, and also the way that the federal government is not respecting our constitution. So our policies is putting Canada first. That's the best example of that is to be able to balance the budget, cutting all these programs that are giving money to other countries to promote the DI and wokeism. Let's cut all that and being sure that we'll balance the budget and lower taxes to all Canadians after that. But Polyev, it's only a slogan for him. There's no reality. There's no real policies behind that.
No, no, you are quite upfront about addressing all these basically globalist issues, all these woke ideologies that we've been attacked by over the past 10 years. It is absolutely crazy, and I really appreciate you're talking about the pandemic and the loss of our charter rights here. I get like we here at C3RF are very interested in charter rights, and we used to say maintain them, but now it's a matter of restoring them. I get letters every day from people saying, Russ, what are you talking about charter rights? We don't have any charter rights. The charter is not worth a piece of paper it's written on. They tell me. This is extremely worrisome because if we don't have individual fundamental rights and freedoms, then we don't have a Canada. There is no way that this is Canada. Now you have special experiences with the pandemic. You, as a matter of fact, you were hands behind the back, handcuffed, and thrown into the hoosecow there for a bit in Winnipeg, I think, or Portage, or whatever it was. Can you describe your experience with the charter and what happened to it over the pandemic?
Yeah, we have a great Charter of Rights. The problem is our politicians. And you can put, you can write the best Charter of Rights if you have politicians who won't, do anything and try to impose their point of view on the population and their vision. Like Trudeau said, he likes the Communist Party of China, and he did prove that to us during the pandemic, during that COVID hysteria. So
Mhm.
for me, the best way to be able, we have a good charter of rights. We need people, we need politicians who will respect our charter of rights. And for us, that's part of our constitution as a political party. The four principles of our party are individual freedom, personal responsibility, fairness, and respect. And all our policies are in line with these principles. So for me, if you want to help and build a better country, the basic of that is the individual. The federal government must not be there to tell you what to do or what not to do, like they did during the COVID hysteria. Contrary to Polyev and Carney, we believe in people. We have faith in you. We have faith that you can do and you can make the best decision for your future better than any politician in Ottawa. That's why we need to have a smaller government in Ottawa, a radical decentralization. That's part of our program. Like that, you'll have more freedom, more money in your pockets, and less interference from the federal government in your day-to-day life. And yes, we, the People's Party, will respect our constitution. That's important.
That's a lot of you've got a lot of work ahead, and I'd love to help you out with that. But I can see a lot of work because it's not just the politicians. We could see, well, in your particular case with that with the travel mandate case that you tried to take to the Supreme Court, it was the court system that knocked you down at each step with ridiculous arguments like mootness. I remember mootness was an argument that they said, well, you can't, we're not going to listen to your case, your appeal, because you were punished and you were hard done by in the past, but the mandates have been lifted, so they're not there anymore. So your argument is moot. Like, I just can't believe that they've got away with that. That was just it was hilarious, actually.
That
So
was crazy. Yeah, that was crazy. And that's why, people lost the faith in our institutions and the
yes,
court. They
yes,
were not there when we needed our institution to enforce our
yes,
Charter of Rights. And you're right. I did that battle, on the political scene, but also, I did that battle also uh, in the judiciary system. And
yeah,
that's why with Brian Petford, the former premier of Newfoundland, we did sue the federal government, and we didn't win because they didn't want us, they didn't want to hear our arguments. And
no,
so that's sad because the role of the tribunals and the judges is to be there to listen to Canadians and take a decision about something that is important for the future of the country. And we wanted the court to say at that time, Trudeau did not respect the Charter of Rights, and if another government is doing that, next time that will be unconstitutional, illegal. But we didn't have any decision. So we need to do that fight, at the political level. And I have candidates all across the country that are ready to fight for you guys, for Canadians. And, if you like what we are saying, I hope that Canadians will support us. The more support we have, the more influential we'll become, and we
mhm.
will be able to win that battle of ideas.
Well, I know one of who you speak, and I had him on a C3RF in hot interview not too long ago, but it was Eddie Cornell. Eddie Cornell, veteran Medal of Bravery winner. He successfully took the government to court on the Emergencies Act
Yeah.
invocation, and got a ruling out of Judge Mosley that stated that yes, the government was anti-constitutional. They didn't have a right to invoke the Emergencies Act the way they did, and now within 10 minutes of that successful ruling, the government turned around and issued an appeal. So what does that say about a government that loses, is told that it's doing something anti-constitutional, and says, "Hold my beer. I'm going to have another crack at it because I don't believe that we're anti-constitutional or we took any rights away." Just absolutely incredible. But the other thing is, I don't. We talk about the judiciary, but there's also the police here. We are losing faith and trust in our police when we see situations come down. I don't know if you heard, but I think it was yesterday. There's Detective Gruce in the Ottawa Police Services. She was taken to task for discreditable conduct because she chose to investigate the cluster deaths of 9 infants in Ottawa. She was told that she exceeded her authorities because she uh, chose to investigate this particular subject of the possible linkage of vaccine injury. And just yesterday, she lost her case and she was found guilty. So she has been determined to be guilty, from what I can see, of of doing her job,
Yeah.
investigating a very suspicious circumstance.
Yeah,
So
it's so sad that that is happening in our country. I remember her. She did her best during the COVID hysteria, tried to protect Canadians, and now, she's guilty of fighting for us, for Canadians. Can you believe that?
no, no, that's absolutely incredible. And I think I don't know, Max. I served in the military for 29 years. I retired from the military in 97, and I found myself in a combat stint in the first Persian Gulf War, and I at that time was quite honored to fight on behalf of Canada. I was proud of the country, but I look at what's going on now, and the rights and freedoms that have been flushed down the drain, and without so much as a how do you do, and this is not the Canada that I fought for back in 1991. But like you say, that's a very, very sad thing. But
Yeah.
I know that you're getting close to. You've got to start thinking about moving on to your next your next talk. So I got one last question, and that is: we've been talking about the Charter, individual rights and freedoms, how important they are. How are you and your party going to restore those freedoms? Is there a plan in mind? Do you have a map of how you're going to get these rights and freedoms back to where they should be?
Yes, we don't have to change our constitution. We don't have to rewrite our constitution. Everything is there. It's just the fact that we have politicians who don't care about our constitution. So we have candidates all across the country who were freedom fighters like me during the COVID hysteria. So we will implement our program. We will respect the constitution, and like that, we'll be in a freer country. We need to do that, and that's why I'm asking people to just go on our website, read our platform. It's all about individual freedom. We don't need to pass a legislation. We just need to respect and just repeal all these legislation that the Trudeau government did against free speech, for example, on social media. We will do that. We will do everything, and we want more debates. When you have more debates, that's a sign of a good democracy. But right now, with the mainstream media, they're afraid of us. They don't want us to debate because deep down, they know that we will win the argument and they don't want that. So, that being said, as you can see, I'm in my car right now, ready to go to another event here in Quebec City. During that campaign, I'm very busy, and I'm very pleased also to have that time with you because for me, it's important to reach to Canadians. And so I will ask your viewers, if you like what you are saying, please support our candidates in your region, in your riding. Be in touch with them, support the BBC, speak with your friends and family about us, and just, help us to push our ideas. It's all about, common sense, respecting our Charter of Rights and our Constitution. And you can read our platform. You cannot read the platform of Pierre Poilievre, the platform of the Liberals. They don't have any electoral platform on their website. So go on our website, read our platform, click on platform if you want to have what we are, what is our position on guns, on on immigration, and all these issues. Our policies are there. If you like it, I hope you'll support us. But I hope also that you'll speak to other people that you know to to tell them that we exist, because the goal of the mainstream media is to say to Canadians, "Oh, that party does not exist. We don't know that party. They're lying to Canadians. We are there. We created that party in 2018. So we are there. We are ready to fight. And I want to thank you for that. And so let's stay in touch. If you want to follow me, you can follow me on Twitter, Maxime Bernier. You can follow us also on social media, People's Party of Canada, Twitter, Rumble, and all these social media. We are there.
Yeah, I will certainly be following you closely. And you mentioned about platforms, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think the Liberal platform is just the Conservative platform now. I think they're
Yeah,
interchangeable.
and the conservative platform is the liberal platform. So that's a uni party. That they're the same on the most important issues.
Okay, Max, what a great pleasure to talk to you. And as I say, we'll be following very closely.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.